What's up? This is Lance Rock here at the Calamity Corner. I'm here with Bboy Roxrite, who I call Roxy. I hope you don't get annoyed by that.
It's all good.
But Renegade Rockerz, he was the man that helped nominate me for Red Bull BC1 Cyphers in San Diego. So thank you for that. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, for sure.
But without further ado, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, what's up, man? This is Roxrite representing Renegades, RBBC1AS, Squadron. Here we are at my crib, just chilling out, about to have this conversation. I'm here with Lance Rock, representing the Calamity Corner.
San Diego, California.
Yep. We're about to get into some topics about b-boying and, you know, breaking in life.
When I saw Break Vision videos and your older videos, your fundamentals were very on point. It was about, like people say about you, Rockin Right. It was about getting into your freezes, getting out of your freezes. It was about emphasizing the takedown, the takedown aspect of breaking, the footwork and angling your freezes and putting everything together. But now, like, as you progressed onward, like, your concepts became more advanced, it became more complex, but it still looked really simple. Could you tell me your motivation behind that?
Yeah, I mean, the motivation behind, like, what I do and like how I use my moves and stuff is because, you know, the idea behind it is almost like to do what's not being done, you know. And sometimes we overlook the simple stuff, you know. We always, I think b-boys try to think so far beyond and try to do things so big that they forget about the little things, you know. All the little things matter. And, you know, when it comes to little things, I guess people look at what we call the fundamentals of breaking as the little things. But you can do so many things with those movements that people forget that, like, how much of an impact they can really have. You know, just from when I started, I mean, I think it has to do with my generation. And, you know, it's like we're all products from our environments. And it's almost like we're all products from our generations. Because we all represent a style that comes from a certain time period when we started and we learned and the way we saw it. And in 1995, you know, growing up in Northern California in this suburban town of Hillsborough, Windsor, Sonoma County, you know, it's breaking wasn't like we saw it so far advanced, but it was just something that we saw, and at that time it wasn't packaged the way it's packaged today. You know, today you got the internet and it's easy to pick up somebody's moves and style because it's like, oh, they're winning all the battles, so that's what you got to do to win the battles. Before, it was what you really liked and what you understood to be b-boying, and that's, for me, that's what also helped the beginnings of my style because of the years that I came up in as well. Because back then I was learning the basics like chair freeze. You know, I was looking at books trying to figure out new moves because, you know, we could only go so far as to what we understood breaking was. And we would read books and see like chair freeze. We're like, oh, that's a dope freeze. And we try that in the bridge and footwork and just all these basic steps, you know, from that time. And obviously they came before us, but for us it was like brand new. And that's kind of, from there on, I just kept growing and growing and getting a different understanding through people I met and through, you know, like ground level who, you know, taught me that it's not the move that you use, it's how you use the move.
With your style, it's like what you're presenting comes with a lot of power, potency in the delivery.
Yeah.
Could you explain that a little bit more, like the potency of delivery?
Like what I'm doing with the movements.
Yeah.
I mean, the idea behind it, I think, is more like, you know, when I think about like when I look at the way I dance and the approach I have, is it's almost like the content that I'm trying to present to you. It's like, okay, I'm gonna play with you and I'm gonna show you that I can do the text, the footwork, the basics, you know. And at the same time, I want to take you up and add dynamics and different things. But I try to do it all within my feeling of what I enjoy doing. Like, it's not necessarily like I'm trying to do this just to like get you to you know, get the crowd to be like, oh, that was amazing. I'm trying to do it because I'm feeling it as I go along and try to bring out, you know, the weaknesses in you as well. Because, you know, in the battle and when I'm coming out with all these little things, I'm trying to show you all the things that I can do. But I'm trying to get you to show me that you can do what I just did. Even though it's basics and simple stuff, I'm trying to get you to show me the same, but better. Because there's, you know, in battle, like I said, there's a conversation. And for me, it's always been almost about that. It was always about, like, battling people and trying to find ways to beat them. And the way you would do that is to try and come up with one move that was different. at least one move. Okay, no, now you got 2 moves that are different. Now you got 3 moves that are different. So all these little moves that you're using, you try to use not the so common move. You gotta use the least common moves that are being done by people, and that's kind of the idea. Is always to try and be unique, you know, because we always talk about being original, and that's kind of the whole thing for me, and that's always been the thing for me. You know, I believe in people do create moves, but I also believe that you innovate moves, and with the simplest things you can innovate so much.
Yeah.
And that's kind of, I don't know, this is very like a deep thing for me.
Yeah. So your style is very much like the least common denominator of a simplistic, unique movement or move.
Yeah.
So it's like here's my move, here's my concept within the context of breaking.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna take it down to the least common denominator, one that no one could really derive off of, and something that you know you came up with.
Yeah. Exactly.
But you're adding your touch.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I think that it does take a lot of complex thought and deep thought to get into it. That's why I think it's masterful when someone could make it simple.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. When it comes to like breaking, there is a science to it. There is like a style to it. There is like
a structure
to it, like a certain thing that you gotta do with it, you know, to make it look dope. Cause if not, you're just throwing yourself around, and there's no structure, there's no flow, there's no form. You know, like people overlook form. People overlook a lot of things. There's all these little things that go into it, and if you can't do none of that, it's like it don't make sense.
Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about concepts, because I don't know where this came from, but we've back when I was practicing before I met you, we always thought this was like kind of a Bay thing, or probably like one concept that you made very popular, but it was a concept of triples, or like 3.
Yeah.
The idea of repeating something twice and then finishing strong in the 3rd time. You know what that, I mean, I don't know if you created that or not, but I wanted you to talk about that, because I think it's a very slept on technique, but it also needs to be done right.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, so what is that? Like, can you explain it?
Well, yeah, I mean, that came about when I was in Straight Sub 4, my first crew. It was me and my best friend, actually, Ross, called him Sauce. We used to practice a lot together, and the idea was that we would do a lot, because our crew was we would do like a lot of little moves, you know, a lot of footwork, a lot of different techs and footwork, and we would come up with certain steps, but if you only would do it one time, it's almost like you can't really see the step. It's like you see it once, and only if you're really paying attention, you'll notice it. So he was like, yo, why don't you do it again? Or do it like 3 times to make it like really visible, you know? And it wasn't really like we're like, oh, do it 3 times like this. It was just more like, yo, you should do it like 3 times so they know it's like for real, you know? And they know it's yours, and then they can see it and be like, yo, did you see that step? Like, yeah, I saw it, you know? So that was kind of the idea that we had behind that whole repetition thing, especially in 3s. Even though the music is on 4s and 2s and 4s, you know, that we use the repetition of 3. Even when you look up at the way some people structure their rounds, a lot of the biggest known b-boys that have won a lot of battles, they structure their rounds in 3s as well. Like you do one big move, a lot of little moves, another big move, a lot of little moves, and another big move, and then you end.
Yeah, yeah.
So I don't even know if I created it. I mean, I think there's a lot of people that probably did it before me, but I can't say that from when we were doing it, I didn't really see too many people doing it, you know? And obviously we were influenced by Rocksteady, so I'm pretty sure all those guys already had that kind of stuff.
Yeah. You're right, like, dance is on 4 counts.
Yeah.
But I also feel like sometimes people...
you can be a little unorthodox.
Yeah, and people think about that a little too literally sometimes, you know, like being on that 4 count. So what this does, it kind of stretches it.
Yeah,
you know, I feel like you stretch it out a little bit.
Yeah.
And that, like when you're talking about the melting halo, you know, like that's just one thing, but I'm pretty sure you have so many other concepts like that.
Yeah, there's a lot. Yeah, concepts are very important, you know, because you gotta find ways to develop small movement, because, you know, something I teach in my workshop is that people try to think of the biggest thing and forget about that you can create one little move that can be yours forever. You know, you can, like 20 years from now, they can be like, yo, that's Lancer's move. Lancer was the first to do that, and it could be just one step, but it will always be known that that was your step. You know, and you know, I think the b-boy scene gets caught up in trying to be the next how to create the next biggest move that that everybody's gonna be doing, you know.
Yeah.
And they forget about the transition or the little move that can change breaking.
Yeah. Like those concepts is what generates everything. I feel like just an idea is gonna create your favorite comic book character. Just you know, the simplest concept's gonna create the style and the tones of your dancing. Is it gonna be like a dark tone? Is it gonna be a light tone? Is breaking gonna be like what kind of? It's gonna get to that point where it's not about the move. It's really about now what are the tones you're trying to present. What are the themes? Like we're at that point, and I think that there should be more dancers trying to figure that out too. Instead of let me try to discover like what I could do with one finger. I don't know. You don't want it too linear. You don't want the evolution to be too linear. So, on speaking on that, so in 2011 when you won Red Bull BC1 in Moscow, Moscow. So I had a talk with a bunch of folks in Vegas, and we were joking, and we were like, man, Roxrite jabbed his way to the finals, and he beat everybody. You know, like he won because he was jabbing. Steve from Knucklehead Zoo said it best. You know, and in my head I felt like exactly, he was jabbing because a lot of people don't know how to jab. A lot of b-boys don't know how to set up their jab. Metaphorically speaking, they don't, that the fundamentals and the delivery that we're talking about, the message, the kind of the form, the structure, I think it was missing, and that was something that you were able to do, exploit that weakness. You know, people want to do the spinning back kicks in the fight in the cage, and people want to do like the spinning elbows, and if you don't know how to do it correctly, if you don't know how to set up for it, like, you're fucked.
How to break them down for the delivery. He made like he compared me. He was like, you remind me of a boxer. Like your style's like a boxer style. It's not like you're gonna come in and like just go crazy. You know, like you come in and you come well and you start like jabbing your opponents. You break them down. You know, and down the line you just keep beating them and beating them because you're structuring to set up your opponent to defeat them later. It's like like body punches. Like you slowly start breaking them down and start getting tired. So that's kind of my battle style. Is I'm in it for the long run. I'm not in it for the short run in battles. You know, I'm not gonna battle you 2-3 rounds and let you walk away. Like I'm gonna find you again. I'm gonna go another 20 rounds with you till I prove to you that I can beat you. You know. So that's kind of where that whole jabbing type of mentality comes from. I mean, I never looked at it like jabbing, but I look at it like I'm gonna break you down with this, and I'm gonna break you down with that. I'm not gonna, I'm gonna slowly take you down and build you up to start delivering my hard stuff on you. And for BC1, it was like more when I went in, it was like the idea was just to go in there and do something that people weren't doing, you know, and that was going first and striking hard right off the bat, like setting them up, structuring it, like just doing everything the way you do it, but as best as you can, and setting up with everything, you know, from like, footwork, transitions, freezes, power. Like you want to bring everything out, but in a way where it flows and it makes sense. And sometimes you could just go off to a certain song and still be able to deliver a round like that. And that's how I trained myself for that battle. Like it was that kind of training. It wasn't just, I mean, some stuff just came out and shit, but at the same time, the training that I did
was instinctive.
And it was preparing me for that. So it was like, the moment sometimes gets taken away from you in battles, and if you don't know how to take it back, that's where you start losing it. But that's where the jab and all that stuff helps you out, because you can be like, okay, I can use a simple move that will add to this big move. So you throw 2, 3, 4 jabs, and then you throw a hook. So it'd be like, quick 4 burners and footwork, and then you throw one of your hard moves, and then you go back to your attacks, and then you throw another hard move. So it's not like you're just gonna be like throwing just mad hooks. You're gonna be like boom, boom, one, boom, boom. Like you're slowly just kind of finding ways to break them down with your breaking. So it is dope to compare it to boxing or MMA, because it does take, you have to have the patience, and also know when to deliver what.
So on the last note, humble beginnings. There's a lot of, there's a lot of talk about humble beginnings, but with you, in your case, what was it like trying to work and then trying to train to be, this world-class b-boy, right? Like it's a night and day thing, You win a jam, you go back to your day job.
Yeah.
No one knows you're not a hero.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, they almost don't even believe you.
yeah. Sometimes I go through that, you know, like every other weekend or something, you know.
Yeah,
so, what was it like to work and then to train, like?
Yeah, I mean, working and training, you know, it's a disciplinary thing. That you gotta have the discipline and the commitment to set your time and do what you're wanting to do. You know, I think we get sidetracked a lot with little things in life, but if you commit to that one thing and make sure you always do it, there is stuff to come down the line, you know. But you gotta be willing to have the commitment, I guess, discipline to just make sure that you do it. You know, like for me, I worked jobs, man. I mean, I worked at Trader Joe's. I worked, you know, after that I worked delivering linen for a big company. And that only lasted like a month. I couldn't hang. It was just not meant for me. It was like too time consuming for what I wanted to do with myself. And then I ended up getting a pizza delivery job, and that was the best thing that I found that fit my lifestyle at the time. And you know, it was almost like it was like a blessing in disguise when I got fired from one job, and I ended up in the delivery job. Because it was like when I was in the other job, I wasn't really like happy, and I wasn't developing as much as I wanted to in dance because it took some time off me. And then with the delivery job, I realized that I had more time. I could work 4 or 5 hours a day, and then go to practice for like 5 hours, you know, and still have day left, you know. So it was like you could wake up in the morning and practice for like 4 hours and go to work at 5 o'clock and get out at 9 and still go to practice. You know, so it just worked for me, but it wasn't easy, you know. It was hard. I mean, I remember, you know, I felt like I'd go to work, you know, go battle, come back to work, go battle, come back to work, get a plane ticket there, go battle there, drive down here, battle, but go back to work. And it was I mean, for me, it was something I enjoyed. I enjoyed both. I enjoyed working because I like being able to be social with people and communicate with people and just hang out and talk and stuff. And at the same time, I also like traveling and doing the breaking. So it was like a good balance for me, and it was it wasn't easy, but it wasn't hard, you know. But I definitely really like doing both, and it's something that I think anybody can do. That's why I always say that, you know, some people are very talented, naturally talented, and then some of us have to work harder, you know. And maybe we do have a little bit of, you know, the raw talent as well, but you do work harder to get somewhere. And I think once you go through something like that, once you're in the position that you dreamed of being in, you appreciate it so much more because you work so hard for it, you know. Like for me right now, where I'm at, it's like sometimes it's just surreal because, you know, I remember where spending $5, it was like, damn, I'm broke for the next check, you know. I don't got nothing, you know. It got to that, it was like that, you know. So it was like, and I never liked asking my parents for money, you know, because they're struggling too. So it's like everything that I felt like I really had to work for, I had to work for. And then once I got into this position and where I'm at now, it's like, you know, I'm just very appreciative of even being able to do what I do now. And you know, and I think when you work for something, it can't be taken away because you earned it, you know. When somebody gives it to you, it's like, okay, well, that fool got handed down easy, you know, like it's not the same. So I think that working showed me like how hard what it takes to get something, you know, like how hard it is to get something. At the same time, it makes you appreciate it that much more.
That was dope. You couldn't have said it any better. I think that you know, with all the years that you put in and all the work that you put in from just being able to live both lives and then coming back full circle, you know, and seeing where it comes, like, I really do feel like you earned it, and it's cool that you're able to take that with you. Take all these things, all these struggles and all these you know, steps in your life and say, you know, I could go back to it and I don't have to take anything for granted.
Yeah.
You know, so b-boys, dancers, and people watching this, like, you know, no excuses, you know.
Yeah, you can't make excuses, man. I think I always tell people, you know, it's like if you keep making excuses, it's like excuses are made for the people that don't want to succeed. You keep finding a reason why not to do it. you know, and if you really want to do it, you get up and do it, and there's nothing gonna stop you. You know, I'm not saying that it was like all single-handedly I made everything happen, but you know, there were people out there that guided me and definitely had some influence in my life to guide me in the right direction. You know, like Zulu Gremlin had a big influence on my life, and you know, I consider him a mentor of mine. You know, and without some of these people, you know, obviously, without like their guidance or even, you know, their acknowledgement or even the little bit of help that they gave me or the help that they you know, that he gave me, you know, I wouldn't have been guided in this direction. And you know, it takes, obviously it's not just because of the way like somebody teaches you, but it's like somebody gives you the key, but if you don't go up and walk to the door and open yourself, you're not gonna know what's gonna happen, you know.
Yeah.
So it's like you also gotta have the drive. It's not like just about having the understanding. It's also what are you gonna do with that understanding. Are you gonna go somewhere with it, or are you just gonna keep it for yourself and just let it sit there?
Yeah, and all it takes is like one word. Again, like all it takes is one phrase to hype you up, to get you inspired from somebody else.
Yeah.
Like for someone to say, "Hey, man, I think you could do this. I think that. I think you could really rock it." You know. And in turn, I think that you've been doing a great job spreading it too. It's kind of like each one teach one. You know, like you're
do what we can, you know.
Yeah.
Try to make a difference. That's all we can do.
Cool. Well, great, man. I really appreciate this.
Man.
So thank you.
Yeah,
this is the Calamity Corner here with Roxrite, Renegade Rockerz, Red Bull BC1 All-Stars. You want to give any shout outs before we cut out?
Yeah, man. I mean, obviously, big shout out to Straight Up Bboys, 4 Elements of Hip Hop, Renegades, Squadron, you know, Grims, you know, everybody that, you know, believed in me, everybody that supported me throughout the years, and yeah, man, just thanks for everything, and everybody. There's too many people to name, you know, but they all know who they are and they know what's up. Peace.
For sure, man.
Yeah.
Calamity Corner.